What's up, guys? John here with Treasure Box Gaming, and we got
Georgiy in here.
And what did you do last weekend, Georgiy?
I got first place at the case tournament in Portland.
Oh, nice. And what were you playing?
I was playing Spright.
All right, sweet. Let's get into it.
All right, so this is a little bit non-standard. So I'll talk a little bit about the deck theory. So this deck list is going to be in a kind of a weird order, but essentially this is a frog deck. So we have 3 Swap Frog, 1 Ronin. I consider this to be pretty much the most resilient normal summon that you have. A lot of the plays that you have are trying to get into this card so that you can end on Toad. And this deck actually did not play Diva. I think the main reasoning behind it is that a lot of the more experienced players will recognize that in order to beat Spright, you have to remove the very first body off the field. And so if you commit a normal summon and your opponent outs it, you need kind of an extender past that besides Spright starter. And so I played 3 Gamma and Driver and 3 E-Telly. So this functions as kind of an extender because Gamma is a level 2. And even if I wasn't playing E-Telly, I would still play Gamma. I think this is by far the best hand trap in the game right now. Against Spright specifically, negating the normal summon, either Swap Frog or Diva, and removing the physical body off the field is like very important. And then my particular build leverages this card, I think, a little bit more strongly than the other builds. We can get into that in a sec. And then because I'm not playing Diva, I wanted kind of a stronger normal summon alongside Swap Frog. So I played 3 Spright Red. A lot of the main Spright combos like end up searching for this card to protect you against hand traps like Nibiru before you commit to Gigantic Spright, Ash Blossom, Ogre, whatnot. And so being able to normal summon this and do your whole Spright combo is like very strong. And if you already have a normal summon to use like Swap Frog, then this functions as an extender. And then we have the rest of the Spright deck. We have 3 blue, 3 jet, and 1 carrot. And then we have the rest of the hand traps. So we already went over Gamma, but I also played 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and 3 DD Crow. I think these are all pretty good. Crow's arguably the weakest one out of all of them, but I think it's found a specific niche in this meta. Against the mirror match where you can banish the rodent out of the grave. Sometimes there's some awkward positions where they're using Elf to bring back Toad. You can DD Crow the Toad so that you don't have to play around negate. Against tier elements, in order to fusion summon, the card that is activating in grave has to shuffle itself back, so if you Crow out of grave, and you can prevent them from sticking like a Dragos Tapilia or a window on the field. And in top 4 I played against Drytron, and this card was really good. And that's it for monsters. For spells, we have 3 Spright Starter, we have 3 E-Telly that I talked about, 1 Smashers, and then I opted to play Desires. I know a lot of the standard builds play Prosperity, but a big reason why I played Desires is because I also played Talents, and I played Talents because I played Gamma, and I think those 2 cards have kind of like this really unique synergy where if your opponent is playing around Gamma, they're usually playing into Talents and vice versa. And a lot of the times, because this deck plays so many 1-card starters, if you Talents to draw, you're very likely to hit one of those, and likewise with Desires, and I didn't want Talents to conflict with Prosperity if I'm trying to draw. And with Desires specifically, in the mirror match, like because both you and your opponent are playing like this really compact engine where you're comboing off of 1 card, being able to go up just 1 card is like very powerful, and there's nothing specifically you're trying to dig for because like Spright, Jet, and Blue are kind of interchangeable, and yeah, like your whole deck is multiple, so you don't really care about banishing anything. Like I during the case tournament, I think I banished Ronin Totem like twice, and it didn't matter because I was just up so many cards that I was just able to close out the game. So if you're not a believer of Desires, I would just recommend that you try it. I actually think it's just better than Prosperity in this deck. And I think Talents this weekend overperformed. I played a Spright Mirror where this card just like totally blew them out of the water. There were a couple other matches where I was able to take like a big monster and then just link it away for Elf. And then other times, like this deck plays through hand traps so easily, so a lot of times you can just Forceful Sentry their hand and then leave them on nothing, and then give yourself the knowledge to know what to negate with Toad. So that's really powerful. And then the God card, 1 Called by the Grave.
All right. Is that 40 cards?
Is exactly 40 cards.
Okay.
So we'll go into extra deck next. So we have the standard 1 Toad, 2 Gigantic, 2 Elf. I thought about playing a third one. The one mirror match that I played in round 2, I think a third one probably would have come up, but I think this ratio is fine. Maybe as the format goes on and the mirror match becomes more of like a solidified choice to encounter in a tournament, then maybe a third elf would be good. Then we have the rest of the utility Xyz. We have a Nibamaro, Soul Sweeper, Sky Cavalry, Downer, and Zeus. A Nibamaro was really good. This card, if you guys don't know what it does, whenever you summon it, you can target a monster and banish it until your opponent's end phase. It's kind of like a Farfa, and it helps you just like clear out a giant monster and like push for damage, or clear it away for Zeus, or just like bait out a negate. And because it's until the opponent's next end phase instead of the end phase, in this deck just like kind of puts a lock on the board state a lot of the time with Elf and Toad. Like essentially this reads as if you're just banishing it forever. Sky Cavalry is good just because it can't be destroyed by battle, so it's just an easy way to force through Zeus, and then Zeus is obviously very strong going second. And then I have Link Package. I play Almirage. I know some people aren't playing this, but I think it's very strong. It turns Swap Frog into one card combo. And a lot of times, like the players, like the mirror match, a lot of people will be playing Ghost Ogre. And so if you are able to stick an Almirage with a gigantic Spright, you can play around Ghost Ogre that way. Then I played Hulk, Dark, IP, Unicorn, and Access Code. I think IP and Unicorn is very strong in the mirror. Some people play Gin Buster, but I think in the mirror, again, like just removing the body off the field is way more important. So IP Unicorn is like much stronger than Gin Buster. And then I think one thing that I was discussing with my friend Tristan is that I think Hida is probably better to play than Dark. I think Dark is like just more generically better, but the only time you're making a Charmer is probably in the mirror match, and otherwise like a lot of times you're just making Elf and Toad. But the idea behind Dark was that you make this in the mirror and you steal their blue or jet, but this is a Dark, and so a lot of times in order to make this card you have to have your own blue or jet to begin with. And I think it's a lot easier to make Hida just because like you're probably working with a lot more like awkward pieces like Spright and Carrot and Red. And you can also make Swap Frog and Almirage, which is a fire to make Elf, Hida. So you go Hida, take their Elf, and then Elf bring back your own blue and jet, and it's a lot easier to climb up into like Unicorn or Access Code that way. So I think I made every single one of these cards in the extra deck except for Access Code, but I would have made Access Code if my opponents hadn't conceded.
One card that I noticed that you're not playing that I've seen pop up is Cat Shark.
Cat Shark, yeah. I know, like, one, I didn't have one. That's like the honest answer. But there was never a game where it came up, really. I know Cat Shark is useful if like you make Hulk into Gigantic Spright to make a 6,400 attack Gigantic Spright with Cat Shark. But a lot of times I think that like envisioning what I would have done if my opponents hadn't just like conceded is that I would have just made a Gigantic Spright with Hulk with 3,200 and then an Access Code, so that's like over 8,000 anyway. So like Cat Shark wasn't really, it didn't come up for me. Like I can see why it would be played, but I think the Link Package is probably a little bit stronger.
Gotcha.
And then for side deck we have best team there, Nib Token. I sided extremely aggressively going second. In testing, I found that this deck was just like extremely powerful going first if you were able to play through hand traps instead of like Elf Toad. Your opponent wasn't really winning that game, and if they had Dark Ruler, they have Dark Ruler. So I didn't play anything that like kind of solidified my board state going first, like a Pointer of the Red Lotus or Solemn Judgment or Anti-Spell. I just focused exclusively on going second just because that's where I thought the weaknesses of this deck were. So I played 3 Nib, 3 Droplet, 3 Dark Ruler, and then kind of like the back row hate cards, 3 Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, and Evenly. Evenly and Lightning Storm kind of function as well as like disrupting front row as well. Against tier elements specifically, like they don't end up on any hard negates. It's like more interruption that's like disruptive, and so if you evenly them, you can really cut down on how much interaction they have. And depending on what you have, Lightning Storm can be good in the mirror too.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for showing us your list. Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, shout out to my team as always, Treasure Box Gaming. Go check us out on YouTube and Facebook, as well as check us out on our TCG Player affiliate link, which we'll link below. And take care. Thanks for watching.